This video was made possible by the EA Creator Network. Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm back with another speed build using the Adventure Awaits expansion pack, and we are creating sort of a romantic getaway or a romantic retreat, and I am building it on the Love Highland getaway lot, which launches with the pack, which is actually out today. Happy release day for Adventure Awaits. I really hope you've had the chance to get your hands on it if you were hoping to, and if you do decide to pick it up, it would mean the world to me if you would consider using my creator code Gryphi at checkout. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does help to support me as a creator as I receive a small commission on your purchase price. Thank you in advance for considering, and thanks to EA for sponsoring this portion of the video. Anyway, for this getaway, I really wanted to create a big modern house with a lot of romantic activities and woohoo locations, so I actually did heavily lean on the Lovestruck expansion pack as well as this new Adventure Awaits pack to create this build, and I think it comes out really cool in the end. I love that we are building over a water lot, so there are lots of spaces for your Sims to relax, and there's a new water woohoo in this pack, so your Sims can actually go into any open body of water and get it on, I should say. So that's kind of fun. There also ends up being woohoo blankets in here, closets, beds, showers, and probably more locations that I'm not thinking of. I will point them out as we get to them. But this ends up being a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with plenty of entertaining space in it that I think would be perfect for a romantic competition if you want to play with that storyline with the game, or if you want to kind of make up your own thing as you go with your imagination. Either would work. I just thought it would be a really fun idea to create one of these. I'm hoping to also create some sort of like fitness retreat or gym or something, as those were two of the other focuses of the pack outside of the kids camp, which I created. I will try to remember to link that down below if you'd like to see the process early on of building something officially for the game. So I just really wanted to create something for the romantic competition. So I really hope you'll enjoy this one. If you do and you'd like to download it for yourself, it should be available on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You could also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will be in the description down below as well. I did also want to mention that some of you might already have seen this build, and that's because I built the entire thing over on my Twitch channel. If you didn't know, I do stream over on twitch.tv/Gryphi. I've been a little bit inconsistent, to say the least, this year, but I've been really trying to get back to it, and I've been streaming most days this week. I'm aiming for a Sunday through Thursday schedule, so if you'd like to join us in the future, it's just twitch.tv/Gryphi. I will have that linked in the description as well. It's really fun to hang out and build together, so I'd love to have you. But talking about the build now, the actual structure has pretty much come together. I'm just being indecisive on which wallpapers I want to use and which windows. The ones that are there right now are not going to be the final ones. I actually end up using a bunch of the windows from the Greenhouse Haven kit and also some glass walls, and I think it ends up looking really cool in the end. It just takes me a while to get to that point. And I knew I wanted to have a lot of these stark white accent walls, but also have the beautiful new like cabin siding from the new pack. So I was trying the best to see what other wallpapers worked well with that. So I did end up using the stone from the new pack as well. And then I changed the color of this a few different times. And do end up going with this wood paneling in the end, which I think is really pretty. But it made it so I did need to change the color of the other wood to be a slightly lighter wood tone, so it matched a little bit better. And then I changed all of the windows to be black frames, and it suddenly started feeling correct. I was very pleased with this. Also, I did very much focus on the back of the build more than the front because the back is over the water, so that looks really pretty. But I did want to make sure the front looked nice as well, so we're going back now and trying to make the front very similar to the back. And I will continue to add some more stuff out here, as the left side just felt a little bland. It's just like an empty box. Whereas the other side I felt like had way more dimension to it. So we're going to fiddle with that in a little bit. But right now I'm just adding some more of the platforms and half walls to add some more definition to that entryway. And some of the roof pieces have flooring, some have grass, and some have just like a plain black for like the high top roofs. And actually I do want to mention that the balcony, that it looks like it's a balcony over on the left side of the build, is not going to be a balcony in the end, because that room ends up being very open to the floor below. It ends up being like a 2-story living room, so you wouldn't be able to access that. So I end up just putting grass up there, so it's like a grass roof section. But I don't do that. I don't realize that for a while. Anyway, at this point, I decided to kind of cut holes into this awning that I have over the deck in the back. I just thought it added some more interest, and I really like how that came out. And then I did extend this little built-in planter I created with the half walls, so that way it could be a little bit bigger and I could fit some of the palm trees actually in that space. So I am starting to place those down now, and I end up getting all sorts of plants in there. And I just think it looks really nice having some of that greenery up against that taller portion of the building in the middle. I just really love placing down tall trees to sort of frame out a build. I do it a lot in like corners where different bump outs meet. I just always think it looks really nice. And I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do that here with how I have the build situated mostly over the water. And actually, speaking of that, you can see right now it's rotated, so the little pool area I created is actually on the land. I did that because the lighting is way better on this side of the lot, so I did this so I could see better what I was doing for working on that landscaping, but I am going to turn it back around and have it face the correct direction. I also ended up adding another planter using some half walls over on one side of where the pool is going to be, just to have some more greenery in that area. And I used a lot of debug plants actually from For Rent, and I mixed them with ones from this pack as well. I just thought that they looked nice and they kind of fit the environment. Some of them might technically not be the correct ones for this environment, but they looked very similar to the ones I was seeing. So I thought it was fine. You could probably pretend a little bit that they are the correct ones. And I also think it's kind of fun and realistic when you have a house like this, which is ultra modern and for a specific purpose and probably has very wealthy Sims that live and rent this place out, that they might have imported plants to the area just to decorate with. And even if they're very hard to maintain and cost a lot of money in watering, it makes sense for this kind of build. So I kind of was thinking of that as well. But anyway, I made sure to have one of the new in-ground hot tubs out here. We're also continuing to work on the landscaping. There is some seating and a bunch of lounge chairs, some umbrellas, because the chairs are not entirely over that awning or under that awning. So I thought it was just like a really cozy space. I am going to be changing the lounge chairs out though, as I wasn't 100% happy with them. I have them in a black swatch right now, which are the ones from Riviera Retreat. And I actually ended up swapping them to the red swatch. And then that's when I decided I didn't like them. Also, speaking of red swatches, this tree is absolutely gorgeous, and I completely missed it in my build and buy overview. I think it's because in the thumbnail, I thought it was the same red tree that we got in debug with Growing Together, or not Growing Together, Get Together. And so I didn't click on it. I'm so sad that I missed out on that because it's beautiful, and I was so excited to use it on this build. So you can see a couple of those in the background, and then I decided to go ahead and start changing these swatches on the lounge chairs. I also got rid of the rug under the table, and then I am grabbing a couple of little floaties to put into our fake pool, because you can't have a pool on a lot that has like access to the water like this. It just doesn't function. So I was like, I'm going to make a fake one by cutting a hole in the foundation and putting some floaties in there so your Sims can go swimming in that space. I also put an aqua zip out here, and then these are the actual lounge chairs I end up using. I think these ones are from Modern Luxe, not Modern Luxe, Desert Luxe potentially. And I put a couple of pillows on them. I thought I was going to keep them red, but towards the end of this speed build, I do change them to be a black swatch instead. But there are so many red accents throughout this entire build. I just thought it was kind of fun, a little romantic color, and it's not a color I heavily use in my build, so it's always kind of fun when you get the chance to use more of it in a specific build, which is another reason why I always liked my color drenched series. I've pretty much done every color under the sun at this point though, so I'm probably not going to be doing any more of those. But it was really nice to be able to incorporate some red into this build. But anyway, right now I am placing down some of these outdoor couches. I believe these are from the Perfect Patio stuff pack, and I placed some of those red cushions on it. I did keep these ones as red. I just didn't on the actual loungers. And then the piece in the middle is actually 2 ottomans put together that are from that same set. And then these little space heaters are actually the early purchase content that came with Adventure Awaits. I decided to place them down. They're not necessary, but I thought that they were kind of cool and I wanted to check them out. I don't think I placed down the other item though, which is a kettle. I don't even think I've looked at it yet. And speaking of that, when I'm recording this, I haven't done the latest part of the Sims event yet either. So I haven't seen that cushion, or I believe there's also a picture frame. So hopefully by the time this is posted, I will have done that part of the event. I'm just a little bit behind on that, as I've been focusing a lot on these new builds that I've been sharing. I've been posting a lot more recently and streaming a lot and just having a lot of fun with creating content. So I'm just a little bit behind on actually unlocking content. Anyway, I am starting to work on the landscaping on the front of the build now. I have a variety of low-lying plants and some more of the other plants that I had towards the back that are mostly from for rent. And then I decided to add an additional bump out over here. Like I mentioned earlier on the left side of the build, I just thought it looked really awkward from the front. Not from the back, but from the front, it looked a little strange. So I decided to add that and I extended it out. And then I'm grabbing some of these technically carpets or rugs to place down as stepping stones leading you up to the front of the house. I like to do this where you kind of stagger them. I think it's a nice way to create a more modern entryway. So that's what I did here. I ended up placing down quite a few of them, and then I'm going to be trying a few different terrain paints to try and find the one that matches the dirt in this world the best. I believe the one I ended up picking is from Horse Ranch, and then I am doing some more landscaping. I used a lot of these low-lying plants from Island Living. A lot of the things from that pack also worked nicely here, but I also heavily used the Show Live Edit Objects plants from Adventure Awaits. There's some beautiful new trees, not just the red ones I mentioned, but there's a couple other ones as well. And then I am placing down a mailbox out front here, and later on, I will be actually adding more windows on either side of the front door and getting rid of those two boxes that are kind of framing it out. It ends up looking so much nicer and opens up that entryway so it doesn't feel so closed. But right now, just starting to work on the floor plan, I placed down the staircase, and then I am opening up this section here to be our 2-story living room. This house was massive as is. I really didn't need the extra room upstairs for even more bedrooms. So it's a beautiful 2-story living room, and then that room that I just closed off behind it is going to be a room with just like a bar, which I think is really fun. Your Sims can go in there and get some drinks. And then there's going to be 4 bedrooms up here, 2 bathrooms up here, and then there's one on the bottom floor as well, and a massive living area on the bottom floor, plus a sauna. This house has a sauna. That's how you know it's like expensive. A sauna, a hot tub, open water, a kind of fake pool, but a pool. There's just so many activities. I believe I have a bubble blower. There's a cards table. There's a ping pong table. I should have added karaoke. I forgot to do that. And then there's tons of that item from Lovestruck that's like a costume chest, so they can change into a variety of sexy costumes, including an eggplant, which I think is hilarious. But back to the price of this lot. I wasn't sure how much it was off the top of my head, so I just took a peek. Your Sims are most likely going to just visit here, not purchase it, but if you would like to live here, this home costs 173,473 simoleons. So it's pretty expensive. It's actually less than I thought it was going to be, but that's still a pretty big price tag. Oh, and this is a 50 by 50 lot, in case you wanted to place it somewhere else. I believe Camp Gibbi is also a 50 by 50 and over the water, so it would probably fit there pretty nicely as well. Anyway, around our chimney, I decided to have a variety of these windows. The bottom ones are actually doors that lead you into this room where the bar is, and then I extended them upward with matching windows to just add some more light into the space. And for the bar, I actually used the bar back and the rounded bar, both from Lovestruck. I just thought they matched the like style of the home very nicely, and I think that's going to be a fun little room for your Sims to enjoy. And it's not the only bar in the house technically, because I also added a globe bar in the living room. So your Sims have a few different places they can get some mixed drinks from. And at this point, I thought I was going to have a separate room that I have the ping pong table in, but that actually ends up being out in the living space. And then the kitchen is going to be over here. And this is actually where the sauna goes. There's going to be a sauna, and then that little like 2x2 that's next to it is going to be where I put one of the closets from Get Together, because your Sims can woohoo in that. There's also a woohoo closet that came with Lovestruck, but it's more of a utility closet that you would put in a public lot, like a gym or something. So I didn't want to include that here. It felt a little bit out of place. So instead, I just put the regular closet. And then I am blocking off a couple of these areas just to put spandrels. I just thought it would look nice to have it open, but have some division of space. I think it looks better that way, but it also helps me to sort of decorate those spaces when I know, okay, this zone is for this area and all of that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I kind of think of it. So this little room is going to be like the exit. Then we have an entryway, and off of that is sort of like a mud room that leads you into the bathroom. And then it doesn't lead you into the sauna, but the sauna is right off of there. It's the stairs are separating that area from the back hallway where you exit or enter into the sauna. Anyway, now I am changing the swatch of the stone and fixing a couple of things, like there was a hole leading you into the sauna from the top floor. But I'm glad that I fixed that because that actually allowed me to extend the bathroom. And then we are back downstairs working on the kitchen, where I decided to change the swatch of these counters. These ones are from Home Chef Hustle. They're one of my favorites in the game. And they just felt like they matched pretty well for the style I was going for in here, since I very much leaned into the modern, but I mixed it with some of the cabin elements from the new pack. And I just really like these ones. So placing down all of the same matching appliances as well. And then there will be an island in this kitchen. And of course, I had to add my new favorite item in the game, which is these pots and pans from Adventure Awaits. And also my other favorite item, the cutting boards from the Cool Kitchen Stuff Pack. Those will go in every build forever unless it's not using that pack for some reason. I also added a pizza oven because they catch fire pretty frequently from what I remember. And that sounds like a chaotic good time in this household. You're already going to have a lot of woohoo going on. Why not have your Sims dying as well? And then here is the island I created. I just made it into a square just with the end pieces. And I also added the new blender because we got the new appliance of a blender. You can make, I think, just smoothies in with the pack. And there's also the costume trunk that I put in the living room. That is from Lovestruck. And it ends up being in the living room and in all 4 bedrooms, I'm pretty sure, or maybe 3 of the 4. So you can dress up in those costumes I had mentioned. And then I'm just picking out some curtains. These ones are from Desert Luxe. And I just thought that they would look nice for a 2-story room. So that's why I chose those. And then I just wanted to add a little bit more clutter to this kitchen. So I grabbed a couple of things from the kitchen clutter kit, and we are finally moving on into the living room. I immediately knew I wanted to use the modular sofas from Dream Home Decorator because this is such a big space, and I wanted to make sure no matter how many Sims you had staying here that they could all sit down. So I did end up picking this one that is in a black swatch. I'm actually going to swap it to the pure black swatch. This one's more of like a dark gray with a wood around it. And the one I end up keeping is all black. And then I decorated it with so many pillows. I started with the gray and red ones. And then I ended up swapping out all the gray ones for a black pillow with a pattern on it, which are from Modern Luxe, I'm pretty sure. And then eventually I changed all of the red pillows to more of a cream color instead because there was just something about it that didn't feel right. And so I brought in the red accents with other items. Like there's going to be a coffee table that has a giant bouquet of flowers on it that are red. And so I thought that that worked just a little bit better in the space. And speaking of coffee table, I thought I was going to use this one from the Casanova Cave kit, but something about it just didn't feel right. I felt like there was just too much stark black colors over here. So I ended up swapping it out for a wood coffee table. And I ended up actually using the ones from Adventure Awaits. I grabbed 2 of them and kind of pushed them together to create a square coffee table. And I thought that that helped so much by bringing in some of this warm wood color. And that is where I decided to go ahead and swap all of the colors of the pillows as well. It just looks so much more inviting now. I was so glad that I did that. And then this is the vase of flowers I chose. It's one of the ones from the My Wedding Stories game pack. Just saying the word game pack makes me so sad because we haven't had one in years now. Werewolves was the last game pack, and I'm really curious if we will ever see the return of them. I miss game packs and stuff packs. I mean, we have too much content in The Sims 4 as is. But if we're going to continue to get it, I would like to see other packs other than expansion packs and kits. Let me know if you agree, and if we were to get a stuff pack or a game pack, what would you like to see? Anyway, I finished cluttering the coffee table, and now I am adding a TV onto our fireplace. If you heard a beep come from my computer, it's letting me know that I have a live stream in 30 minutes. So I guess I gotta finish this voiceover. But anyway, I added a frame TV up there. That one is from Secret Sanctuary. I think it is perfect. It's got a beautiful frame on it and has those beautiful red roses that are very, very romantic. That was a suggestion on stream, and I'm glad that I got that. So if you ever want to be part of that process and suggest different things to make the build come together a little bit better, I would love to have you join us. I mentioned it earlier, but once again, the stream link will be down below. And then I have a couple of these tables behind the couch. I just thought it would be nice to have some lamps. So I also added a plant and a record player. And then I moved a couple of these poofs to be kind of sticking out from under the table as like additional seating that you could bring out. And I mentioned before that I was going to have a bubble blower. So that is where that is. It's in the kind of like entryway to the back porch. And then this is the card table that I used. This one is from Casanova Cave. I think it's really nice. And then I was trying to figure out what artwork to put over here, and my chat was having so much fun with the artwork from Lovestruck, because apparently a lot of people hadn't seen the swatch that is the man in his underwear, and he became known as Underwear Man on stream. And he does not end up in this room, but he is near the bubble blower in the back room, so you'll see him in a little bit. I used this lovely lady in here instead, and the piece of artwork that has the neon lights on it does appear in this build as well. I pretty much used everything from Lovestruck for artwork. I just really like it. And then this is a little sign here I just put above the door that is from Spa Day. I figured it would be kind of nice to have a sign that leads you into the sauna. And while I didn't add any in this build, I feel like another nice thing that if you wanted to add could be like massage chairs and some of the other things from Spa Day. I think that would be really nice. Like a romantic couples massage. I think that's totally on theme for a romantic getaway. But just finishing up this back hallway, I got some lights on either side of Underwear Man. And then this is going to be the dining space. I ended up placing down a table, which I think is from Cool Kitchen, and I paired it with these chairs from the Fitness Stuff Pack. I think they are absolutely stunning. I just love the shape of them. Some of the colors are a little bit funky, but I thought that these ones work nicely. And then we have another piece of artwork from Lovestruck. This one has some lips on it. And then on the table, I added some candles, a bucket of wine, and a beautiful flower. And then here in the entryway, I just wanted to have a nice side table. And then I filled in this little piece because it was overhanging. And I believe there just ends up being a plant and maybe like a lamp on there, and also some giant mirrors. It's just a pretty simple entryway. I also have this gorgeous chandelier, which I don't remember what pack that one is from. For some reason, I want to say it's Life and Death, but I don't think it is. Anyway, this is going to be the room that I said is sort of like a mudroom. So I used a lot of the Grange mudroom kit in here, and I am going to partially section off this room. Right now it has just the spandrel, but I'm going to add a little bit of a wall right next to where the railing is for the steps and have it so it's a smaller open spandrel area to head into here. I just thought it would look a little bit better if it was sectioned off. And then for this little bench, I did cover up the blue pillow with a black one, like the ones I had on the couch in the other room, just to make it blend in a little bit better, since I wasn't really using that blue color anywhere else. I didn't really like it there. But here is that extra wall that I had mentioned, and then I'm going to be getting some artwork heading up the stairs. I don't actually keep these two pieces. I end up actually choosing some of the pretty artwork from Modern Luxe. And we were joking that we put the stairs, or not the stairs, we put the shoes by the stairs because you pick up your foot and you go up the steps. It was like instructions, kind of like the Underwear Man was near the entrance to the sauna because you take off your clothes and then you go into the sauna. It was like silly instructions. That was the idea anyway. And then we are just finishing up this room where the bar is. It's very simple. I don't have many decorations in there, but I love the tile that I used. I don't know why I said it like that. But I did end up using that tile in all of the bathrooms and in the kitchen as well. So I was pretty pleased with that. And then I also decided to add some more windows that lead you into that bar area just to bring in some more light. And I extended them upward. And then lastly for this room, I got a couple of these neon lights. They are from the Moschino Stuff Pack, and I just changed the color of them to red just to get some decoration on the higher part of the wall. And then I add a couple of very minor decorations to the sauna. I believe I get some towels and a candle in there. Oh, and I changed the flooring to be a stone instead. But anyway, this is the downstairs bathroom. It's the only bathroom I show because the other ones are pretty much exactly the same, but slightly smaller on the top floor. I have the same shower tub combo and sinks and toilets. They're pretty standard. I didn't really feel like they needed to be overly decorated since this is more of a vacation home. I mean, your Sims could own it, but I was decorating it, imagining that Sims just come here from time to time. And then that was also the idea with the bedrooms. They don't have overly distinct personality to them, and we have the vibrating bed in all of them. They're just in different swatches, and so I catered each room to a slightly different color scheme, but I thought the vibrating bed was required in every single one of these rooms. I also added the Woohoo blanket up here in the bear swatch because chat suggested it and it was an immediate yes. I never used that item, but it felt appropriate for this build. So this is the first room. This one has a cheetah print theme to it. I used the cheetah print bed, or maybe it's leopard print. I always get them confused for some reason. And I also made sure to include our lovely neon light in here. I believe I change it at one point and then bring it back. But I love that. There's also a VIP bucket. There's this woohoo game that I also have in the living room. And then there's some books and then I believe some like lotions and stuff, which also came with Lovestruck. So lots of fun activities can be done in here. I also made sure to add a wardrobe. There's also going to be a dresser and a TV. At first, I add some artwork though, and I swap it out later for a TV instead when I remembered that I wanted to have a TV as I put it into this next room, which is very pink. I think this one's really cozy. I love the artwork up above the bed with the legs. I just think that one's a really cute piece. And then here is the costume trunk. And then I am going ahead and swapping out the TV in the other room and grabbing that same TV to put in here above a little cabinet piece, which is the same one that I have downstairs from Cozy Kitsch. But I put it in more of this peachy swatch and then placed a plant in the corner. And that should be it for this room other than a floor length mirror, which I have in I think all of the rooms. This next one is based on this wallpaper. I love this wallpaper from Lovestruck with all of the roses on it. I just think it is so pretty. So this one's just kind of like moody romantic, whereas the first one that has a similar color scheme I thought was very tacky. And so I just wanted this one to look a little bit nicer. I got some magazines and stuff in here and the same mirrors on the walls and I believe the same dresser and television as well. Yeah, it's a pretty simple room, but I do like how it came out. And then our final one ends up being dark and cozy. So I end up having the dark wood walls with a black color scheme throughout the rest of it. Same bed, but black swatch. And then I just get a couple of decorations on the bedside tables. I believe like a plant and some of the same sconces that I had in the room next door. So I'm just placing all of that and trying to make it look a little bit more organically placed. Some of the rooms have more clutter than others. I just wanted it to feel like maybe some of them are used more than others, or it depends on like when it was cleaned, who put what where. I think it's okay if it feels a little bit more structured. But in this room, it was a little bit bigger, so I was able to fit more in here. So this one actually has an additional woohoo blanket. It could be also a picnic blanket, but I'm going to call it a woohoo blanket. I put it in this brown swatch as it matched the color scheme of that room. And then I realized we're pretty much done with the build, and I hadn't added a burglar alarm or a thermostat or a fire alarm, so I went ahead and did that. And then finally, I am working on landscaping, finishing that up before we head on into screenshots. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more and click that bell to be notified when I upload. And a massive thank you to my YouTube members for your continued support. If you'd like to become a member yourself, you can click the join button below the video or the link in the description. And thank you in advance if you do decide to use my code when picking up Adventure Awaits. Please enjoy the screenshots and I will see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.